All right, we are going to pick off where we last left off at. Um, on board the Navajo at the bridge, with a confused counselor entering the bridge and um, a missing lieutenant at the helm.
Captain will look around and half jokingly say, "All right, by show of hands, who remembers having this conversation, if slightly different already?"
What are you talking about, Captain?
Okay, good. Not you. Lieutenant Basher, you say you feel like you've done this before. Captain will turn around to his new security chief.
And Azonin will just look at the captain and nod.
All right, so again, we're having a situation where not only part of the crew remembers doing this second time. According to anybody know where Lieutenant Vogel is?
Well, Captain, last I knew, she was in the holodeck speaking with our guest. Of course, relatively, that for me, that was less than 30 minutes ago. However, that is about 6 hours in the future.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the visit from Temporal Investigations. Lieutenant Baxter, when you poll the crew, find out who remembers, who is having the same experience you are, and get back with me on a general idea of how much of the crew is remembering or thinks they're remembering doing this again.
Um, yes, I did want to speak about one other thing, but seems like we've had this conversation before.
Yeah, sure. Concerned about the effect that Aluna's continued presence on Holodeck 2 is one taking up our R&R time and other impacts she may be having on the crew.
Yes, okay. Um, I will get on that.
The captain looks around for a minute, wondering where his XO went, uh, and then gets on the commed engineering, bridge engineering. Commander Solok available.
Engineering, Solok here.
Commander, please report to the bridge. Take the con. I need to go visit with our guest.
Acknowledged. On my way. Reporting as ordered, Captain.
Very good, Commander. Out of curiosity, what's the last thing you remember, say, an hour ago?
1 hour ago.
Subjective,
Precisely. I'm
subjective
sorry?
time, subjective time, not actual time.
Oh. I was in engineering looking over the latest figures regarding the plasma coils.
Very good. We had this conversation already?
The conversation that we are having right now?
Yes.
No, it is not possible to have such a conversation. Unless, of course, there was time travel involved.
Right. Are you experiencing any unusual or unexplained power drains in the ship system?
Not that I'm aware of at this moment. We could do a check in engineering, though, if you would like, Captain.
Have your second do that, and if they're not detecting any, have them keep an eye out. I think they'll probably be having some in the next couple hours or so.
How would you have insight into this information, Captain, if you don't mind me asking?
Time travel.
Interesting. You have experienced this exact moment in time before.
Me and Mr. Azanon and Lieutenant and Commander Rye there, we're in our third time around.
Remarkable. Azanon, this conversation between the two of us has happened before?
I believe last time the commander was here, and you remained in engineering to keep an eye on holodeck 2.
Interesting. The last time you remember this exact moment taking place, Commander Cavall was here on the bridge with you, Captain?
He was here for our second run through of the day, but not the first, and it doesn't look like he's going to be in for the third round.
That would suggest then the events are not playing back exactly as they are intended. Therefore, you are not engaging in traditional time travel. It would seem that you are cycling through some sort of loop.
I concur with that. It seems to be minor changes, and minor changes that I make don't seem to be making much of a difference.
Minor changes can have an effect, though, in the long-term timeline. We will have engineering check to see if there are any power drains. Is there any particular area where you would anticipate the drain coming from?
Holodeck number 2.
Interesting. That is where Aluna is currently situated. One moment, Captain. Solok to engineering. Please conduct an evaluation and a scan of the ship to determine if there are any significant or noteworthy power drains from engineering and from the warp core. In particular, focus in on holodeck 2. Report to me immediately on the findings.
Understood, sir. Engineering out.
We'll report the findings as soon as possible, Captain. Should we have an interesting, or sorry, I'll take that back. Should we have a further investigation into the activities on holodeck 2, just as a precaution?
Yes, but I'm headed down there now. Apparently, the first 2 times we did this, I sent Lieutenant Vogel to open a dialogue with Lunia. But Lieutenant Vogel is missing.
Interesting.
And so I will fill that role this time. And Mr. Azanon, would you go ahead and have your crew do a physical? The computer can't find Lieutenant Vogel, but she may just not have her communicator or badge on her. Go ahead and have your crew do a physical sweep through the ship.
It would be uncharacteristic of Lieutenant Vogel not to have her communicator on her.
That is true, but she may not be. If she doesn't have it on her, she may not be by her own will. There's also an apparent member of the Q continuum that keeps popping up. I'm actually kind of surprised he's not here already.
The Q continuum. I am familiar with those life forms. The last time this conversation happened, before your loop, as it were, there was a member of the Q continuum on this bridge at this time?
The second time. Now, this one actually has a full name, called himself Cuvaris. And the first time he appeared to Lieutenant Vogel in the holodeck, our first time through this loop. The second time he just came straight to the bridge, which is why I'm a little surprised he's not here. But I expect him to show up any minute.
Computer, please provide a sweep of the ship to determine if there are any life forms on board consistent with the Q continuum. Please subtract the life form known as Luna in holodeck 2.
That's worth a shot, though. You know, if one of the Q doesn't want to be scanned, we just won't find them.
It is only logical to attempt, sir.
Might as well eliminate it anyway. That's why I'm having Mr. Azanon have his crew sweep the ship, looking for Lieutenant Vogel just to verify that she's not on board.
There's an ancestor of mine who once said that if you eliminate the impossible, whatever happens, whatever is left, no matter how improbable, must be the truth.
Well, it sounds familiar. I think your ancestor stole that from Arthur Conan Doyle.
Or it is possible that Arthur Conan Doyle stole it from my ancestor. Vulcans visited Earth before Arthur Conan Doyle wrote his Sherlock Holmes stories.
That seems illogical, since the Vulcans are quite committed to non-interference with species that are not ready to meet interstellar life.
And it would be illogical to assume that Arthur Conan Doyle was able to have contact, or Vulcans were able to steal information from Arthur Conan Doyle and use it in a philosophy that predates Arthur Conan Doyle by thousands of Earth years.
Well, you got me there.
In any case, Captain, regardless, the
Does that mean
philosophy holds true here.
That would mean the Vulcans cast aside their normal non-interference. That's for later. We'll have a nice
Must
debate.
we have this conversation of Vulcan philosophy when Vogel's missing?
Quite correct.
At any rate, I am headed to holodeck 2. Mr. Solak, you have the bridge. To Nazanon, you have your orders. Let's verify that Vogel's not on board.
If she is on board, sir, we will find her.
I have every faith in my new security chief. And the captain's going to head down to holodeck 2 to visit with Lumia.
All right. As you leave the bridge, Captain, what is everybody else doing? At least, what do you guys wish to start on first?
Well, Azonin is going to send out the basically a security ship-wide notice of just sweep the ship and make sure that Vogel is not on board. But it is a low security risk and not to be conducted as an official search.
Give me present security difficulty of 2.
Ooh. Okay, I don't mind that. I'm going to give you 1 threat for a reroll.
Gain 2 momentum. The security sweep begins. Also, don't forget, I think you have the intense. So when you purchase 1 or more d20s by any threat, you generate 1 bonus momentum for each d20 purchased.
Intense.
Yeah, it's to your species trait.
Oh, yeah, I do.
So you do
Yeah,
have
species
a bonus.
elements are really powerful.
Yep. So currently, because you're new to 2E, currently you have a trait created. Currently it is at a potency of 1. You can increase that potency to make it more efficient by essentially spending 2 momentum if you want to bolster it more by creating a potency of 2. But you do have that float, which goes away at the end of the task.
Oh. And increasing the potency just basically upgrades it or something like that?
Yeah, it makes it a potency of 2. For essentially this trait is you're having the security teams do a sweep of the ship, but that's going to take a while because it is a big ship. So you're looking at, hours, if not, longer than the actual time loop itself. So by increasing the potency, you shorten the duration of it.
I'll go ahead and do that.
Okay. You estimate with the. I'm gonna write this down, and I guess in the chat here. So yeah, they will, conduct their search roughly probably in about 4 to 5 hours. Um,
Cutting it close, but it'll work.
Solok, was there anything you were wanting to do?
Solok has a hunch. He stands up from his chair and walks over to the console back here behind his own, and he says, "Computer, lock onto sensors. Scan for trace elements of any kind of chronoton radiation inside or immediately outside the hull of the ship."
Reason plus science listed by the ship's sensor science. Difficulty of 2.
Azonin, do you mind rolling for the ship, please?
Sure, give me 1 second.
Thank you. Difficulty of 2. I will take a momentum for a reroll. I guess I'll re-roll one.
Do you have bold science? Or
Why would it be bold?
not bold? Cautious science.
Oh no, sorry. I thought it was. And I have cautious engineering. Never mind.
Unfortunately, the ship won't be able to assist. Do you have another way you wish to re-roll that?
I don't know if I have a way to re-roll that.
Are you using the ship's computers?
I am.
Your neural interface might do something.
Neural interface. You may re-roll 1d20 on a task that the computer is doing, so I can re-roll that way.
Okay.
And well,
Hope for the ship.
so now the ship can do it.
Ship will roll 1 more dice
Oh,
because it has
Yeah,
advanced.
advanced sensors.
Yeah, advanced sensors works differently in 2E. You roll 2 dice instead of the reduced difficulty. But with the help of the ship, you do get that.
I think we should have 1 momentum left, right?
No,
Because I only took away 1.
Yeah, he gained 2, but he had that bonus. Plus, he spent 1 to increase the potency.
Ah, got it.
So
Got it. Well, we were successful.
the computer does detect a faint amount of chronoton particles.
Where is the source of the chronoton radiation?
It is around the ship. Very.
There is no
though.
specific. There is no specific area. It is just simply around the ship.
Yep.
Interesting.
It's a chrono bubble.
No distinct source for the radiation, though it is present on the ship. Lieutenant Azonin, what is the estimated time in which you will complete your security evaluation? You're unmuted.
5
Yeah.
hours? Yeah, sorry, 5 hours? It's cutting it close to what my memory says, but it's as good as I'm going to get with this big a ship.
Solok to engineering. What are the results of your scan regarding the power drain? Are you detecting any levels of power being drained from the ship?
No, not at present. Why, is there something wrong?
Possibly. Continue scanning. I would like to know whether or not a power drain is emanating from holodeck 2. Scan all sources of power on the ship.
Understood.
A zonin
Um,
is
Give me presence engineering difficulty 2.
Sure.
Essentially initiate that order.
Presence engineer. To have any momentum. Just going to roll it. Just checking something real quick here.
And they get started on that right away. Engineering reports they will run a level 3 diagnostic on all power systems on board the ship. See if there's any leaks.
Solok looks at his own and says, there is the presence of chronoton radiation. It is surrounding the ship at this time. A faint level, but it is present. You have experienced a time loop, as has the captain. Logically, these two things are related.
agreed. A zonin turns back to his console and starts tapping to see if holodeck 2 is even active, because from his knowledge, that's a discrepancy from the past loop.
Holodeck 2 is currently active.
Is Aluna in holodeck 2 at present, Lieutenant?
I can check.
Give me a insight plus security, assisted by the ship's sensors plus security difficulty of 1.
Difficulty of 1, so I'm going to roll this flat.
I'll grab ship. You said sensor security?
Yep. Gain a momentum.
Commander? Here's holodeck is empty with the program still running.
Interesting. It is empty, but the program that was there that you remember from a previous time loop is running automatically.
Sorry, Commander. What I'm saying is there are no life forms detected in holodeck 2. However, holodeck 2 is active.
Are we able to detect Iluna as a life form on this vessel using our equipment?
We have been before. Aluna, Vogel, and the Q has not shown up yet. At least according to my knowledge. Almost sounds like they're in a separate timeline. Commander, do you think we should probably inform the captain of this development?
Solak, are you there?
Sorry about that. Were you hearing me when I asked GM what the course and speed of the ship was?
No. Currently,
Okay.
the ship is on standard cruising speed to Lysara Station.
Sorry, station. Yeah, I was actually asking that while my mic was out, so sorry. I heard everything everybody said, by the way. Sorry about that. Helm, all engines stop.
Aye, answering all stop.
Your theory, Mr. Ozanen, I believe has merit, that there are intersecting timelines here, creating the impression of a loop. Stolak to Captain.
Ronir.
Captain, according to our sensor scan, holodeck 2 is currently unoccupied. We are unable to determine the location at this time of where Illuna is on this ship.
Well, that would add to the number of differences between this loop and the previous two. I'm just down the corridor from holodeck 2. I'll visually verify her presence or absence, then return to the bridge if she's not there.
The same holodeck program is running according to Lieutenant Azonin, as was the second time loop, though Lieutenant Azonin has an alternate theory. Explain your theory, Lieutenant.
Captain, I believe we are experiencing, I almost want to call it diverging timelines, but that doesn't sound right. I believe Vogel, Illuna, and maybe the Q we have been expecting are in a alternate timeline. Maybe continuing on from the previous? I don't know yet.
That would be logical to assume, Captain. Time is fluid in some cases, but intersecting. Different dimensions, alternate realities. It is possible that these timelines are intersecting. We have detected a small, minute, but definite chronoton radiation signature that is surrounding the ship. Engineering has not been able to report at this time whether or not there is a power drain.
Well, if Illuna is not on board, then the power drain theoretically wouldn't occur. Because it was localized in holodeck 2, as she said. Oh no, scratch that, because I don't think Vogel ever told the captain that. Never mind. This is time travel. Gives me a headache every time. All right, begin studying the chronoton particles around the ship. Let's before we blame all this on Cuvaris, let's make sure that maybe he's not a victim of the same thing. though I have my doubts.
GM, I'd like to spend a momentum. Is it one momentum? No, it's two. Never mind. Never mind. I'll wait till we have another momentum.
Okay. With that though, I am going to head over to the courtroom. Captain, when the doors open up, you find yourself not on holodeck 2, but instead of a old time courtroom, as you hear the crowd shouting, "Burn her! Let her hang!"
Silence!
Okay,
Let the
so
arbitrator speak. And then the judge points at the captain. You sit down. You may listen to the proceedings. Well, let us review. She once healed a small child suffering from a rare disease on a pre-warp world, only allowing the individual to become a tyrannical conqueror. She gave fire to a primitive civilization, launching itself centuries ahead of its schedule and causing a planetary ecological disaster. During the Q War, Aluni ignited a series of neutron stars, causing the collapse of 12 inhabited systems. Aluna's altered timelines, and she's engaged in mass destruction. Cuvaris will walk over right in front of the defendant. Oh, well, I guess the judge moves there too. Well, he wants to hear it better because it's Q squared there. How do you plea, witch?
Innocent. These are all made up, fabricated.
You know there are no fabrications there. You know that these are facts, irregardless of the more than spotty record of the Q continuum. We are here to discuss your future and your crimes. You demolished the moon to create a scenic debris field, throwing off the orbital balance of a planet. You've created pocket dimensions and engaged in outrageous behavior. Your witchery is clear.
Just like a cue to. So what? You going to imprison me again, or are you gonna finish the job?
Hint to Sarah. There we go. Oh, okay.
Captain, you see my message in the chat there?
I did. The captain will just nod to her. Kuvaris, what is the meaning of this?
We are discussing Alunia's
logs.
very clear record of interfering with civilizations, individuals, and destruction of large areas of space.
Okay.
This makes her a witch, and he points at her again.
Oh my, how unoriginal, Kuvaris. I mean, what is it with the Q continuum and stealing courtroom scenes from the worst examples of justice in human history? Honestly,
Perhaps there's
any
a little
original ideas?
satire in that, but we don't have the time for that conversation right now. But if you'd like to speak on her behalf, I would certainly like to hear it. For her crimes are abundant and against the very nature of this godly place.
Well, if I remember the trials of this time period in this particular setting, most of these were time places where the judge had already made up their mind before the trial, and these were times where mere innuendo and suspicion ended in convictions and death penalties rather than truth and honest testimony. Is
He
that what
turns back and looks at the judge and says, "How can you not trust a face like that? His trust and godliness is written upon his brow."
you mean the same brow that twice before told one of my officers that you were going to offer her parole? That there was giving her a second chance? Is this what you
Is
call a second chance? To
well,
throw
are
accusations in her face again?
are you arguing that perhaps she has served her time, Captain?
And how long has she served? You're the one that stood on my ship and said that you had no intention of reincarcerating her, that you were actually going to offer her a position with the Q continuum. Is
Yeah,
that not true?
I might have said something like that. I'm under an NDA for those events, but
Well,
certainly,
since such types
is
of
she
such
not
agreement
in a
didn't
pre
exist in
Captain?
this
Is she
particular venue, you are it is any NDA in this particular venue and time period would be invalid as it is out of time.
I can't confirm or deny that. I'd have to talk with my lawyers. They're in 1988 New York. But more specifically, is she not serving a sentence on your ship right now? Has she not imprisoned herself within the confines of your jurisdiction?
She has not. She is a guest aboard my ship. I'm just waiting for her to tell me where she wishes to be dropped off.
Then it is you that is not imprisoning her. So who really makes the choice of confinement?
She does. She is the one that chose to hide in holodeck 2 rather than joining the community of the Navajo or finding a nice quiet corner of the quadrant to make a new home.
So perhaps her prison is as synthetic as this entire courtroom and proceedings.
Well, that would be difficult to judge. I haven't had very much time to interact with her, but let's see. According to the logs of the previous captain, they rescued her from unknowingly rescued her from captivity. But in my own personal interaction, without her assistance, I wouldn't have been able to save the last world she was on. Several
She
million
saved a
inhabitants
world.
of that world owe their lives to Elenia.
So you are saying she has changed her bewitching ways and has parted ways with the devil's grasp.
Is that not the hope of every individual in the universe? The chance to improve themselves, to become better?
Even in the Salem witch trial courts, a person could declare, but before being tested with a rock and a chain at a pond or any number of situations, they can recognize that they have gone in a different direction. Are you proposing that's what's happened here, Captain?
No, certainly not, because the choice in Salem was between the hangman's noose and the fire. To
Correct. But let us focus in on our situation. Do you believe that she has changed her path?
with just a couple of weeks of evidence, that's not
That
enough
would
to
be
make a
all you
decision
have.
like that.
But a choice to selflessly save those who are in jeopardy, that is what you are saying she has done.
I didn't say it was selfless, but I did say she helped save the lives of several million people.
He turns to the judge. This is new evidence to be submitted upon the defendant's behalf, indicating a possible change in behavior. And the judge nods and says, "Yes, I agree." And he adjusts his wig. This is to be considered by this court. Go on, Captain. You have an interesting line of reasoning. Do you have other points to support that? Are there other behaviors that indicate that she has served her time?
Other than the time, she has served time. She has come out differently. No being, no matter how long lived, can survive that long in isolation without being changed as a result. Usually those changes are in the negative, but the to use the vocabulary that you choose to use, the in this case, she has changed possibly for the better. But for us to know, there needs to be more time. She has, on her time aboard my ship, not abused her guest right aboard the Navajo, despite having the power to do so. She has purported herself as a guest. Maybe he looks at Lunia. Maybe hogged the holodeck a little, but that's certainly not a penalty worthy of incarceration.
You are aware she once healed a small child suffering from a rare disease on a pre-warp world, and the child grew up to become a tyrannical conqueror. My point being, even an innocent action can have the underlyings of more demonic intent.
But how do you prove that intent, Q? Through her
Hmm.
actions. Did she instruct the child in the ways of evil? Did she teach her to cast evil spells, or merely save the child and then allow the child to live its life?
He will head over to Alunia. What say you, accused witch?
If if I and Mr. Vogel are going to act as advocate or counsel for Miss Alunia, then I would have to insist, Q, that you stop using the term witch, is if that is the accusation, until the court has proved that she is such. She should be merely the defendant or Miss Alunia.
His eyebrows squint a little bit as he looks at you, and the judge goes, "Sustained!" Then accused. What say you on this case of healing a child and it becoming a tyrannical conqueror?
I merely healed a small child. But I guess I am partially to blame as he did all of that in my name.
But here, most recently, you have done something else. Even though you have a rap sheet several astronomical units long, you did make a recent choice. Why did you choose to do something differently most recently? Why did you choose to help without engaging in the outrageousness that's usually assigned to your activities?
It was one out of preservation.
I do not understand. What do you mean, preservation? So the helping of these people most recently was just a act of self-preservation?
Yes, it was an act of self preservation. The device there was interfering with my abilities, and I couldn't do anything about it.
Is not the question of this court whether you should be given freedom or a new lease on your existence based on you having changed from your imprisonment?
I think the question of whether or not the defendant be allowed her freedom is moot since she has it already. She has been paroled, and the state has no evidence
She
that she
was
has
released from
violated
those.
any
She
statute
was
against.
released, Captain, from those shackles by forces outside the Q continuum. Now her fate is amongst highly debated considerations. She was a war criminal.
It's not her fault that the Q are absentee jailers. It did not check on her progress or her well-being. She
Yes,
cannot be held accountable for that.
look, it was probably similar to one of your Starfleet bureaucratic errors. These things do happen, you know, Captain. You place an order for a spanner and you get some boots.
Well, I hope
You
the
know
boots
these
fit.
things happen.
And frankly, Q, if you're going to hold her accountable for what happens for the negative result of her good intended action, then you must also give her the credit for the beneficial result of her selfish action.
I certainly cannot debate that this is a possible sign of someone who has changed their ways. But she looks at Alunia. Not all prisons are walls. Some are prisons of our own creation, our own beliefs and ideas, which can even be stronger than those.
The captain just looks at Alunia and says softly to her, "He's got you there." You have, in a way, incarcerated yourself on my holodeck. Which I'm curious as to know why, Miss Alunia.
Do I need a reason?
Well, not one to me, but perhaps you should have one for yourself. Maybe you should ask yourself and answer to yourself honestly why you've been holed up in a holodeck in a fantasy world for several weeks now.
She just kind of sits there quietly contemplating what you said.
We're going to use judicial and penological philosophies of my homeworld, Q. The one that stands out is the belief that once a person has done their time, they have they get the opportunity to prove themselves either a beneficial member of society or not. The defendant, Ms. Alunia here, has not yet had enough time to prove one way or the other. These proceedings are premature.
He heads up to the judge for a moment and talks to himself. Certainly, you bring up some strong legal arguments, is what the judge says. You have identified the nature of her situation. But even then, should we not be cautious with such a dangerous creature, capable of bewitching and spells?
Caution may be called for, but not in the form of continued incarceration until she's had a chance to. He looks at her for a moment, decide who she wants to be in this second lease in life.
But she hasn't even signed the lease.
She stands up and slams her hands upon the wooden desk. And why do all of you so care about me? The universe has cast me aside countless times. And why do all of you suddenly care so much about me, yet mock me for my past?
If you have found some who care for you, Cuvaris approaches her, maybe that is something you have not had that is worth far more than you think. Or maybe you just feel you are undeserving of it. Those are the shackles of the past, Alunia.
I don't know how much time you spent in the past around humans, Alunia, but most of us don't actually need a reason to care. You're a guest aboard my vessel, and you seem to be in some sort of distress. It's my job as your host to try to help. I'm curious as to why, though I have a few suspicions, why you are resistant to getting help.
How does she react to that, GM?
Um, upon that, she falls back into her chair and slowly begins to weep a little.
Has this not gone on long enough, Cuvaris? This oppressive environment you've placed us in is
Merely a historical recreation from your own species' past, albeit in an attempt to climb the ladder of justice. Certainly, your species has come a long way since then.
yes, and it seems unusually common for the Q to pick the worst of my planet's back pass instead of something better.
Yeah, I know. It was the first thing at the top of the Rolodex, as they used to say.
Maybe you're not all that different from the Q that keeps visiting Captain Picard.
Don't judge me so swiftly, Captain.
Then if you're going to insist on taking us somewhere not aboard my ship, at least put us someplace more pleasant than the Salem Witch Trials.
GM, would that be fair to change the setting of the situation? Or do I think the continuum needs this to see it through the right lens? How about her home turf?
Well, certainly much more pleasant surroundings. And as dashing as I thought the outfit is, I really don't wear neckties. Silly accoutrement from the past.
Yes, I have to agree with you there, Captain. As beautiful as this is, it is a prison, Alunia.
I'm actually curious, Q. I know why I care. She's a guest on my ship. I suspect I know why Vogel cares. Mostly for the same reason. Guessing. Or maybe she's just following orders. But why do you care so much? Why are you pushing for this emotional breakthrough so hard?
You've smoked me out, you wily fox. I think she has great potential. I think she would provide a new point of view to the Q. And when wars end, eventually enemies must learn to get along. And in some cases, as your history has proven, your world's history has proven many times, enemies become allies.
Then why all the song and dance, Cuvaris? Why the show? Why subjecting her, us, the continuum to all of that?
Well, as you can guess, I'm not the only person. There are others watching. 2, she needed to not only break out of her own perceptions of her situation, and sometimes that requires a little force. As I understand it, sometimes your Starfleet training places you under hyper-realistic situations to evoke adrenaline response and prepare you for dangerous situations, yes?
No, survival training in Australia. That's always so much fun.
Sorry, don't mind me. I'm fixing the token.
No problem. We were just bantering back and forth.
But in all the talks we had previously, all the breakthroughs I felt we made, you chose to just jump to that. I thought we were making progress. I thought we did make progress. I thought I could trust you.
remember, there is a show, and that show is part for others who might have perspectives that she can't change, that she can't evolve, take a new direction, perhaps even embrace the continuum and help bend it to her will as a member. Just as in your politics, there are sides. And if we do not address all sides in this story, then the outcome would be in question, wouldn't it?
The only side I'm interested in, Q-Varus, is the truth. And I am finding it very difficult to follow you in what you say. I don't know if what you're saying is truthful. I don't know if it's a story you're trying to tell. I don't know if it's an outright lie.
Well, my offer stands. Analunia, you could become a member of the Q Continuum, which would give you rights and privileges and responsibility. But you're certainly not going to achieve that sitting on a holodeck on a Nebula-class starship, are you?
And what if she decides not to join the Continuum? What then?
That decision is not mine alone to make. As you can guess, there are others in the Continuum. These proceedings have been watched. Maybe less so right now. But I had to communicate the hardest interpretation of her actions. But you've brought up points that indicate that she has shifted since her incarceration. And of course, there is always the danger of letting her run free, where she can change timelines, histories, and impact civilizations far away from the events that she manipulates.
That is true of a great number of beings, Q-Varus.
True.
No, I could order this ship to loop itself around the sun, go back a few centuries, and hand its technology over to the civilization of my choice. Everyone has the potential. It's just
Correct.
a matter of what she chooses to do with it.
And whether she's given up her past, because in the past she has made those choices. But if she has truly changed, become aware, shifted her way of interacting, does she not then deserve the keys of command?
I think she deserves the chance to discover who she is and who she wants to be and make choices of her own, not choices that are foisted upon her, other than maybe giving up my holodeck so the rest of my crew can get their R&R. Just saying.
You certainly have a point there. These people are, as you would put it, on the line.
Seems to me, Q-Varus, that what the Continuum ultimately frowns upon in terms of Alunia here is that she is not following what you would deem proper and acceptable behavior. Have I pretty much got that figured out?
I think that you have got it figured out, that there is some type of what you would call, well, you have your military code of conduct, right? Starfleet code of conduct.
How about this, Q-Varus? Growing up and through my time at Starfleet Academy, I was subjected to many people who I come to call my mentors. People like my stellar cartography professor, Professor Tepran, guided my career, helped me find my path, made me the officer I am today. Perhaps if you were willing, Kivyaris, perhaps you could do that for Alunia. You could teach her, you could mentor her, you could guide her to a better place. If that's ultimately your altruistic goal, would that not seem the best course of action for all involved?
I think you have identified a very viable course. But, Alunia, you have to get past the war. It's over. It's gone. It's done. We can't change that reality, not with us being incarnate in the third dimension as we are now. You have to come to be okay with such a thing. I'm not here to define who you are, but I can't help you if you are wallowing in the past.
You expect me to betray the very people that fought you, died, for me to join you like nothing happened?
What's being proposed here is an apprenticeship. I teach you more. I'm not telling you to forget the past, but not to be trapped by it. And you have allies here. You have friends here. That's something. Something many in the Q continuum do not have, do not even understand. And you have an opportunity here. I can show you more. I can expand and help you do what you're doing, but do it more efficiently.
But Q, you have to accept that once you help her along this journey, that she may decide that she does not want to be a member of the Q continuum. You have to be able to accept and abide by that if that's her choice.
Correct. But I cannot control what the rest of the continuum does. But it is my belief that if she can evolve, that's not going to be an issue. And she brings a new point of view to the continuum. Even as proposed, just me helping her out, her point of view will alter the quantum alignments of the continuum. That's the only way my people change.
Alunia, no one is asking you to forget or forgive the continuum for what they've done to your people. What they've done is horrific and should not ever be forgiven. But there is an opportunity here. You have the opportunity, and it sounds like Uvaris is giving you the power to change the continuum, perhaps for good. Is that not the ultimate revenge for you and your people?
I gave up on revenge a long time ago.
Then what is it you're looking for?
A place where I belong.
But you're not going to find belonging cloistering yourself in a holodeck.
Captain's got a good point. And you're not going to find a place of belonging in a past full of ghosts.
But Kavaris, there's some wounds that here from the war. Perhaps a little time for those to heal before she starts this mentorship with you. At least give it some time. Would you agree that that would be beneficial?
I would agree that something like that could be beneficial. But that can't be done in hiding. That can only be done out there. And he points to the arch.
Well, Lunia, what do you think for this as a base agreement that you come out of the holodeck and engage with me and my crew? Be part of a community. You say you want to belong somewhere, then join our little community for a while. And Kuvaris, maybe you could help that along by leaving her alone while some old wounds heal.
I believe that I could make that argument given the evidence presented in court that she has shown a shift in behavior and should be given time after serving time. A period of parole for her to rebuild herself. Parole is the wrong word. But there is wisdom in your words, Captain. I believe I can structure a settlement based on that. Understand, though, Lunia, there are still those that would view you as quite dangerous. But if you could achieve this, then I can make the argument.
And Mr. Vogel, as much as I may try, I can't order you to be friends with somebody, but I'd like it if you don't mind. I'd like it if you be Miss Alunia's guide to our community and this new era she finds herself in.
I don't make friends easily, Captain. It is somewhat of a challenge for me, but this situation requires hard work from everyone involved. Requires hard work from me, hard work from the captain. Even Q-Varus has to work hard, Alunia. And I think all of us are willing to do that. Are you?
Perhaps it's time for me to move on. Kuvaris, is it?
Yes.
You're very much a jerk, you know that?
I've heard it before.
On that note, I will take you up on your offer. Not to be a member of the queue, though. Not yet. But
I agree.
at least show me a different world.
Fair enough. Then you make the decision for yourself. How about you set the direction, Alunia? You decide where we go. And I will follow.
Someplace nice. Well, Captain, I think I will return your holodeck to you.
Pro nods. That is much appreciated. And good luck. Drop by and visit occasionally.
Yes, I do owe you. Just let me know when you wish to collect.
I'll call out. I'm sure Q Varus will hear me. Seems to be a trait of the Q continuum.
Sometimes my answering machine might pick you up, Captain. Depends on what I'm doing.
I'll leave a message.
Leave a message. I'll eventually get back to you.
Looney stands up and looks at you, Kivars, and ready to depart when you are.
I am at your disposal, ma'am. You pick the time and place. And the dimension. And he will look at the others. Thank you. Thank you for hosting me. I'm sorry about the drama. As much for eyes that we could not see. You understand, Captain.
Sure.
You know, it's been a while since I've been home. I'd like to see what's come of it.
Fair enough.
You snap your fingers.
Yeah, if she wants me to snap my fingers, I'll do it. I'll take us both out.
I'm sorry if I overstepped my bounds, Captain.
No, Miss Vogel, you did very well. But if you'll excuse me, there is something I've been wanting to say for several weeks now. Computer and program. It was a nice beach, but after a few weeks, you know, they say about fish and house guests.
If I could go a few weeks without setting sights at sand again.
You did well, Lieutenant. I once again feel justified for sending you that command school. You're going to do well on this track. Shall we go the bridge?
Captain, there was a lot of talk about mentors and guides. And I just wanted to let you know that I do consider you one of them.
Rowan nods. Thank you. I'm at this point in my career. That's almost almost the purpose they have for giving me the chair.
I am honored to be a member of your crew, sir. I just hope I am able to continue to live up to your expectations of me.
I have faith in you. I mean, after all, you're the best pilot in the quadrant.
Thank you, Captain, but it's merely a result of my training at the Academy.
Oh, bother. Shall we go to the bridge and see what this is all about?
Meanwhile, on the bridge, the red alert siren's going off as the entire ship is shaking.
Report ship status.
Bridge, this is engineering. We're losing structural containment field on the warp core, or on the warp core. Warp core breach in progress.
Implement safety procedure number 2. Place a containment around the warp core. Determine cause of the warp core breach.
Sir, I'm not sure what the cause is. It's something is drawing power from the warp core.
I relay this information to the captain as he comes onto the bridge.
Commander Solid, is there a way to, if the warp core is unstable, what do you recommend?
If the warp core is unstable, the direct course of action would be to eject the core and create a safe distance from the ship from the core. However, I will endeavor to determine if there is a way to stop the warp core breach right now, Captain.
I would appreciate it if you can, Mr. Solak. I don't relish the idea of being this far from a starbase without warp drive.
Give me a reason plus engineering difficulty of 3. Assisted by the ship's sensors engineering.
I'm going to use my determination for this. And I guess the value that I'd want to do here is information is power. Because he's trying to find the source of it.
Yeah, that's fine.
So you said engineering and
reason.
Thank you. And so the way that works is I'll also buy a die with momentum.
Okay. You don't get an extra die when you buy determination. You select one of the dice for 2E.
Yeah. So I should roll 2 die, but then click the determination using determination value.
Yes.
Check, right?
Correct.
Okay. Focus diagnostics.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Okay. I think it gives us 2, right?
Ship sensors engineering.
Oh, sorry.
Jeez. Gain 4.
Captain, I have determined that there is a massive power drain emanating from Science Lab number 2.
What is on science? What is in Science Lab number 2, Mr.
Determining now. Security. Locate science. Go to Science Lab number 2 and determine what is going on in there. And what is in Science Lab number 2, GM?
There's nothing filed. They've just current science teams have been doing some essentially local field studies. That's what they classify it as.
So Solok would command. I guess Solok right now is acting as the first officer. I'm assuming. Solok would ask or command security to go to Science Lab number 2 and shut off whatever is going on in there.
Headed that way now.
Solok also asked computer, calculate time until warp core breach.
Warp core breach in 3 minutes.
Can we buy ourselves some more time by increasing or decreasing power to the warp drive?
Outside of game, I'm not an expert on warp drive and warp core breaches, so I don't know the answer to that question. Do you want me to do a roll to try and answer that question, Gian?
Be for momentum.
Sure. That's if we increase GM.
Yes.
And currently, I think is the ship stopped right now, GM? Captain, I recommend that you increase speed to warp speed immediately. That will give us additional time. Increase speed to warp 4.
You heard him, Mr. Vogel. continue our course to the Lysarian station. Head warp 4.
Aye, sir. Should we consider emergency saucer separation?
I don't think we're there yet.
It is also indeterminate whether or not separating the saucer right now would give us sufficient distance from the explosion.
Are you just sending
Vogel,
Are you sending the security teams down there, or are you heading down there yourself, Zonin?
I'm headed down there with the security team.
As the ship continues to shake, you eventually arrive to the science lab number 2. Sorry for my makeshift map. I realized I didn't have a science lab.
No, that makes sense.
It's gorgeous.
So I guess first things first, the Zonin is going to go to the door and attempt to open it to see what's going on.
The door has been locked and sealed.
Locked and sealed. Computer security override. A Zonin Alpha Alpha 39 Omega.
Unable to comply.
He turns to the security team and says, "Burn it down."
They move over and they fire phasers on it. It's gonna take a bit to undeal the mag seals, sir. This way.
Computer's not responding to my codes, and it's been sealed. No other way I can think of to do this.
You overhear on the intercoms, warp core breach imminent. Time to breach. T minus 11 or 1 minute and 11 seconds.
Yeah, brother. I, as a player, I'm trying to think right now for. Oh. Yeah, Captain, that's a pretty good idea, maybe. He's going to turn to the security team and go, "Okay, hold up. Just thought of something. A zone into transporter room 1.
Transporter chief here.
I need an emergency site to inside of Science Lab 2.
All right, stand by.
Sorry, give me a second. I am double checking the roll for it.
I guess this means I have to activate Transporter Chief Cox.
Okay, this is going to be a control plus engineering assisted by the ship's science plus engineering difficulty of 4.
Okay. Sorry, could you repeat the roll again? It's a
Control plus engineering assisted
control
by
engineering.
just assisted by the ship's sensors plus science difficulty of 4.
Okay. I just activated Cox. Can I take cautious engineering as a talent?
Yeah.
Okay. And let's see here. So it's a difficulty 4. I will eat the momentum and roll 4 die. So, and then use Transporter Replicator as a focus. What does Transporter Chief do? When you attempt to use this, repair and modify to use, you may add 2 threat to reduce the difficulty of the task by 2. So if I give you 2 threat, can we reduce the difficulty of this task?
By 2? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's a difficulty of 2 now?
Yes.
Okay. I'm still going to roll all 4. Screw it. And then the ship.
Sensor science.
Got it. So I think we got our momentum back.
Yeah, you got the momentum back.
Energizing now, Lieutenant.
One second, is the GM realized he forgot to do something? Do a certain macro. Apologies. Zona, when you beam in, you notice 3 Starfleet officers and a glowing orb in the center. He's like, we're losing containment. Getting power from the World Core was not the greatest idea. We're going to blow the ship up again this time. What? As the Three of them look shocked when they see you in the room.
Can you reverse the power drain at least?
If the cascade, it will. We'll just end up repeating the time loop again. We're trying to stop this, we swear. We didn't mean this for this to happen. What is he doing here? He's not supposed to be here. He hasn't been here. No one's entered this room in the 600 times we've gone through this.
600? Azonin is going to approach a console and see what he can see to help.
We're out of time. The warp core is going to explode. We need to reset the timeline. Give me reason plus science. Difficulty of 4.
Oh, I'm going to hate this. This is a bad roll for me. Value to I will protect the crew.
No.
No.
This is more like you're trying to understand something. Like even though you're wanting to protect the ship and everything, to protect the crew and the ship from whatever this is, I'm not gonna kind of accept that as like the for a value.
Okay, at least a focus.
Because based on your other
Ooh.
values, like you would care less. Like you would be more. It seems like because sometimes violence is like the answer. You're the type of character I feel like would shoot the thing to get it to stop, then rather than understand it.
Boom.
What about a focus in survival? Will that at least count?
No.
Okay. This is going to be stupid of me. Full threat dump. Because I don't think mission directive would apply either. Well, I know that's in first edition that would work, but I don't know about 2E.
No. Because she just said like there's a way out of this. They just have to go through it all over again.
Yeah, I got that. And here you go. Hey, I was rolling with a 10, so. And I can't. No, because that's science, not security. Never mind. In that case, he's going to turn to the science officers and be like, inform the captain the next loop. Maybe we can get you some help.
Initiating cascade and everything goes white. As all of you find yourself back on the bridge, except Solo, who's in engineering.
Do we retain memories of everything?
Oh yeah, just as you felt like the ship's shaking, the ship was just about to like it goes counting down like 10, 9, and then it all stops and you find yourself back to where you were in the past.
This again?
Vogel's just gonna put her head in her hands on the console.
Azonin is going to look at Vogel and go, it's not what you think.
Okay, Azonin, what is it then?
You should be getting a call from Science Lab 2 momentarily. Hopefully, if they listen to me.
Until I get the call, what's going on in Science Lab 2?
I have no idea.
Go find out.
Understood, sir.
Take whatever crew you deem necessary, since you know more about what's going on there than I do.
If it's the
Okay.
science lab, sure. Do you want me to go with them?
I need somebody with a science focus at least.
Captain, I do believe we have experienced a time loop.
Ah, you remember this time.
Yes, if I recall, we were precisely 2.6 seconds away from total annihilation.
Exactly. Mr. Azonin, would someone from engineering be useful?
As a matter of fact, I think both Vogel and Solak would be useful, Captain.
You
Very
have
good.
some information that you would like to share with me?
Information, yes. Direct knowledge of what's going on, no. Let's put it that way.
Where are we headed?
Science Lab 2.
Then let us head there immediately. With your permission, Captain.
Go, go, go. I don't want my ship blown up again. For the first
And-
time, maybe.
And while we are...
Azona's going to turn to the captain and go, it didn't detonate.
And while they are traveling down there, Solak asks Azonin, I take it you have insight into what is causing these time loops.
There are people in Science Lab 2 doing some sort of experiment. And they pulled power from the warp core, and it wound up causing a cascade or something like that. I don't understand everything. Let's just say they reset the time loop so they didn't blow up the ship.
These are Starfleet personnel?
From what I can tell.
They are in Science Lab 2 currently, and this experiment is the catalyst for causing the time loops.
As far as I can tell, I only was in there for like 30 seconds.
Most interesting. And we head to Science Lab 2.
And the Zonin is going to hit the buzzer on the door.
And the door opens. She's like, Lieutenant, Commander.
I'm sorry, who is this person and what's their rank?
Oh, they're just regular lieutenants. They're nobodies. I don't have
Lieutenant, what is this? Okay. Lieutenant, what is this experiment that you are conducting?
We were running some simulation based on the data brought back by you guys on on the Vorlock system. Some months ago, we were conducting some simulation experiments, and we can't turn it off.
Interesting. Azonin, this experiment here is the cause of the warp core breach?
As from what I understand.
About that, so we were trying to feed it more power to get it to essentially disperse the chronoton field that it's generating, and in doing so, it caused a warp core breach. Theoretically, we were caught in a time loop.
You have memories of other times that this has happened before, correct?
Well, since we started.
How many time loops have you experienced?
Do you really want me to answer that?
Yes.
I'm going to look at the commander and go, you don't want to know. Be sufficient with 2.
I'll take that hint and then look at them and go, very well. It is immaterial at this point. What is most critical is that this experiment be terminated immediately.
That's the problem. Like, we've been trying to do that.
What is the source of power for this experiment?
Well, we were operating just on normal ship power with the feasible, but we've tried reducing power and increasing power, and that doesn't seem to really, just seems to cause further issues.
So, and Zonin is going to look at him with my limited scientific knowledge. You're saying that the reaction is self-sustaining?
Yes, because it's generating power from other points in time and space.
Absolutely fascinating. I could spend a lifetime studying this anomaly. Unfortunately, I do not have a lifetime. So it's a self-sustaining energy field that is gaining in potency. Is that correct? The energy is increasing.
Yes.
Is that what you're telling me?
And every 6 hours, we loop.
And in our last loop, you attempted to draw power from the warp core, causing a warp core breach.
Yes, and it increased the loop time. So technically, we were in the last loop 3 hours, give or take.
Well, logically, we should not do that. Do not draw power from the warp core. Solak asks, what type of energy is this?
Just energy.
Is it chronoton radiation?
It emits chronoton radiation, and it establishes
This
a
would seem,
bubble around the object it is connected to, which happens to be the ship.
that would explain the chronoton radiation that we have scanned enveloping the vessel. There are several possibilities here to resolve this situation. Some are more crude, some are more direct. One way is to destroy the source of energy, though I think the fallout from that would ultimately destroy the ship. Another alternative is to remove this energy from the ship by beaming it into space. Another way of approaching this is to reverse the energy's polarization. Thereby, instead of its sustaining power, it dissipates its power and therefore will cease.
Yeah,
The way to do
we
that,
tried that. Didn't work.
you've done several loops and you've made several attempts. Is there anything that you haven't done that you wanted to do?
The three of them think for a moment. We've tried about everything we could think of.
Did you have any, was any option providing you any variable of success? Or were all abject failures?
And they all ended up in the same result. Soon as we thought we had the bubble dissipate, it restarted the time loop.
are we able to control how far back in time the loop begins?
It pretty much resets when we fire it up, which was about 20 minutes ago.
So trying to control the loop back in time to before you initiated this experiment, you are saying that is not possible.
Yeah. Unless you know some quasi being that could just blink us back in time, I don't know how.
Interesting. I might know someone who fits that description. Computer, where is the location of Ilunia at this time?
The guest Aluni is not on board the ship.
Oh, that would make that option moot. I look at Azonin and say, I don't suppose you know of any way that we could summon a Q-like entity that would be able to send us back in time, let's say by 21.43 minutes.
Give me a minute. Cuvaros! Oh, okay. I guess I can't call him because I know his name and stuff like that.
Hold on, I have to check with the GM if I can respond. But you've reached the voicemail of Cuvara. Please leave a message
Great
after the
stuff.
beep
Great
until
stuff.
the GM responds. Your message will be listened to by someone.
In approximately 93.06 thousand years.
Someone will get back to you.
So outside of game, this is what I'm thinking, GM and everyone. Solak would, assuming that these three Starfleet people here have gone through multiple and multiple loops to try and solve this from a scientific point of view, right, and have failed each time, he would think that the scientific way to solve this, shooting it with energy, teleporting it into space, all of these things have already been attempted before and have failed. That's how I'm trying to approach this logically. So the way of resolving this would be to try and do something that has not been done before.
Oh.
So yeah, I mean you're in a bit of a conundrum here. I'll let you guys kind of talk among yourselves, like for shooting ideas amongst each other to figure out a way. Sort of like I wouldn't say it's the scientific method, but it is kind of up to you guys, like how you want to try and go about doing this.
I'm sorry that Rye isn't here. It's like up her alley.
I would say one thing to try, just in case, is have a captain call for Alunia or Cuveris. He's the one that she seems to
Yeah.
always get to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Azonin was about to do that, but I wanted to give everybody a chance to. Well, first, Azonin is going to turn to the three and go, I know how many times. Not even an inkling at the edge of thought that is so out there it might not work.
You have a suggestion, Lieutenant Azona?
No. I'm asking the 3 science people.
Oh.
Well, we could just let the ship overload. No, that would kill us all. Well, it should reset the timeline, but also overload the field, so we'll just loop back from the start, and the device should be off because it's pulling power from this entire line, right? It's the only thing we haven't tried. We just blow up the ship. Well, overload.
You are suggesting that we allow the ship to explode, and therefore, by doing that, it will reset the timeline back to when?
When the field
If
initiated breaking the loop.
So essentially, do nothing and reset to 20 minutes ago, approximately.
And then everyone goes, or we all die.
So, out of just so I can understand it, what she's recommending is that they pump more energy into this, so that way it increases it shortens the window again, and the ship is destroyed, and it resets the loop again.
Yeah, that's what she believes could happen.
And when it resets the loop, it would just go back to where we are right now, right? She's suggesting that it would go back earlier.
No, what she's suggesting is you overload it, so when the time, like when it loops, the machine itself overloads at its initial point in time, such breaking the loop by essentially blowing up the ship in the future. You have to think forward the bitch to the here.
This is where time travel stuff hurts my brain sometimes.
The thing of it is, my character does not have temporal mechanics as a focus.
What's the focal point of the time anomaly?
Oh, at the start of the loop.
Zone into bridge. Oh, let me do this. I forgot about that. I had this. Which one? Zone into bridge.
We're on here. What you got?
We've found the issue, and I believe Commander Solok might have a understanding. However, we might need the input of extra-dimensional beings.
What's the proposed solution?
Temporal manipulation?
Would you like me to fly the ship around the nearest star?
Don't think that would work. Let's just say it's already too late for that.
I hate time travel. Okay, details, gentlemen. What do we need to do?
Captain, this is Solok. I believe what Lieutenant Azonin is recommending is that we call upon our friends in the Q continuum, if it's possible, to assist us with traveling back in time to a specific point prior to the beginning of a certain experiment that is currently taking place in Science Lab 2.
I see. And what are the scientists playing with down there?
They appear to be playing with an energy source that is self-sustaining, and it is pulling energy into itself from different timelines. At a certain point, usually after about 6 hours, this energy resets, and we are then looped back in time.
Why does that sound familiar to me?
Because you've experienced it before?
Possibly. Okay.
In any case, that is one possible solution to this, though we are unsure of how we can contact such entities. The shot in the dark, so to speak, is for you to do it.
There is a second option that they have suggested, but I don't think you're going to like it.
Lay it on me.
Do nothing. Basically.
Well, since we didn't know there was a problem in Science Lab 2, haven't we already done nothing at least once?
We have. They haven't.
Well,
Yes, they are
technically,
recommending that they.
we did nothing.
Go ahead.
And the last loop, we attempted to use the warp core to try and overload it, but we reset it because I'm just saying we let it happen, and the ship blows up.
You were saying tap into the warp core engines, overload the energy with energy from the warp core, but instead of trying to pull it back at the last moment, allow it to happen, and then see what happens.
Right. We should go back to the focal point, and the device should be off because the energy stream was too much for it to handle, and as such ends the time loop in theory. And the other one of the other ones speaks up, or that will kill us and we all die. I prefer to find another solution, Captain, with all due respect.
I like solutions that don't involve the ship blowing up. Mr. Solik and Mr. Rosen, have you checked their math on that theory?
Not at this time, Captain. That would take time for us to do.
Well, I think we have, 4.5, 5 hours still?
To be honest, Captain, the closer to the focal point we are, the better odds that we have. If we're going to blow up the ship.
Understood. Stand by one. We'll put the comm on mute, and then call out Kuvaris, Alunia. Remember that favor Alunia owes me? Could call upon that now if I could. Oh, Kuvaris, my old friend. Feels like it's been forever. How have you been?
Sorry, I was muted. Oh, up. I'm there, right, GM? Because I see the
Yes.
tokens. Oh, okay. We're back. How are you doing?
Fairly well for now. So that favors that we're still good for that.
I guess so. Well, what's going on?
Oh, science experiment gone awry in one of my science labs. Ship's about to blow up. Apparently, it's done so multiple times that I
That's
know,
not
or
good.
no, never is. I apparently my entire crew and I seem to be stuck in a time loop that apparently I owe you an apology. I was blaming you in my head for it.
You do indeed, Captain. This was not my doing. But I think Alunia should solve this situation, but I'm here to help her out in any way she might request.
Understood. Spiace, JQ. Miss Alunia, can you put us back in time to hold on? Pro will unmute the comm channel. Mr. Azon, Mr. Solak, about how far back do we need to go?
GM, would 25.43 minutes be a good time? Is that before
Sure.
they turn on their experiments? Yeah.
Well,
25.437 minutes precisely, Captain, from present right now.
Did you get that, Alunia?
well, I can technically travel back in time. I can't really do this kind of level of things. Like, I could go back in time and stop it, but here's the thing. I'm trying to turn over a new leaf, and if by doing this, it's going to erase all your memories of everything that happened, inadvertently cause maybe a paradox.
She's got some good points, Captain. You might not remember everything,
Well, there'd be two of me.
and there'd be two of you.
Okay.
And I don't know if I can handle two apprentices.
Oh,
But
okay.
you are
I can handle
capable.
2 copies of her.
Yes. I'd have to make a double copy of myself. It was already hard enough with the judge. I was judging myself the whole time. Alunia, you are capable of more than you think you are. Reach out with your senses back to the point. You might be able to solve this. I can certainly back you up, but I'd like to see you push your abilities. What do you think?
They're playing with that technology. It came from that planet, Vark. Yeah, they kill themselves like because of this type of experiment. Um, I didn't have anything to do with that, by the way. Just FYI.
I know. Don't worry, I know. The Varkians, look, they did it to themselves, okay? Thank God the Advarkians survived. But take a look at the situation. Perhaps you could divert the loop as well. Another loop is about to start. They'll have their memories, but if you can change the energy and quantum dynamics at that exact moment, you might be able to let them just roll forward with a little bit of time trauma. You are capable of more than you think.
Or could you just shut the big glowing orb energy sucking thing down in my science lab and just kick us out of the loop altogether that way?
I'll give it a shot. This
I'll be here.
will make us even, Captain.
I understand. The alternative is me blowing up over and over and over again for however long it takes us to figure this out. Or we were just going to blow ourselves up to see if that would do it. Not a plan I'm particularly fond of. I'd like an alternative.
I think the captain brings up a reasonable point.
How'd the Varians end up killing themselves anyway?
Oh, it's a long and horrible story. Perhaps after this is all done, I'll tell you.
It didn't involve feeding more and more power into the machine until it blew up prematurely, was it?
Let's just say they were fishing for the wrong thermodynamics.
I will never look at Aardvark the same way again.
My one macro's broke, but she blanks herself out. Head over down to Science Lab 2.
And Kuvaros will sit on Overwatch. He'll just sit right where he is and look at the bridge crew. I'm on Overwatch. I'll assist her as she needs it.
Suddenly appearing in Science Lab 2. Oh, excuse me. And she walks up to the orb, places her hand on the orb, and just all of a sudden the orb starts slowly diminishing as a wave of energy just kind of flows into her, and the orb stops. Okay, all done. Don't do that again. And then she vanishes.
Solok to Captain Perone.
Perone here.
Alunia appeared in Science Lab 2. She dissipated the energy. It has ceased. And it would seem that the time looping has stopped.
Very good. I assume the device is still in the science lab.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess what they used. Yeah, it's here.
Let's put that in quarantine and not turn it on ever again.
Well, we technically made it, but yeah, we get the point.
And
there will have to be a security debrief of the three of you, of course.
Yes, sir.
Then Lieutenant Commander Rye will want to have a talk with you as well.
Told you we should have came clean earlier.
Until that time, Mr. Azanon, the ensigns there are confined to quarters when they're not on duty.
Understood, sir.
All right, Mr. Vogel, let's get back on course for Lysaran Station. Kuvaris, thank you for bringing Alunia. Alunia, thank you for your help. I understand that we are even now.
By the way, Captain, there are a couple planets in this area with some excellent fly fishing. As I understand, you are a connoisseur of the art.
Now that, Mr. Kuvaris, it could very well be the greatest gift I have ever received from a member of the Q Continuum.
I try. It'll be in your data pad in your office. A little hard to get to, but you seem like a capable man.
Or at least determined.
Sometimes that's more important. Well, Alunia, well done. I'll let you lead the way again.
Right. Until next time, Captain Perone.
Until next time.
Fare thee well.
And I'll let her do this now. There we go. Oh, wow. Yeah. Bye.
Interesting. I take it based upon their pairing, Alunia joined the Q continuum, Captain.
No, she is what's the word he used? Apprenticing the young Alunia. She has not decided whether or not to join the continuum. We will, I'm sure, see in the future if he is successful in rehabilitating her from her prior bad acts. I take it you have secured the device in the science lab and taken steps to ensure that it is not activated again?
Science Lab 2 is off limits to all personnel except yourself and the security chief. All systems in Science Lab 2 have been shut down.
Excellent. Well, we're back on course to Lysara Station. Mr. Asnon, if you would, go ahead and redo your research on Mr. Venn so we know who we're dealing with this time and calculate what a reasonable payment would be, what a reasonable payment would be for secure delivery of the items that we need. I know that he's probably going to want to charge us 100 bricks of gold pressed latinum.
200
Let's see if we can
for,
bring the price down.
if I remember correctly, Captain, and I believe Solak can correct me if I'm wrong, or was it the commander? I believe it was the commander the last time. Yeah, it was the commander. Mr. Vren was 210 for 9 months, if my memory serves, in previous loops. However, there was a Ferengi that was 200 for 3 months.
Well, let's investigate the Ferengi as well, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure how I feel about doing business with the Ferengi here. If Venn, with the reputation that he apparently has, gives one statement and then the Ferengi underbid him by that much, I have to be dubious about one or both of those offers. Let's since we have time, let's do our homework this time and figure out which of these offers is in the best interest of the Federation and the Gemulon V colony.
Understood, Captain.
And with that, I think we'll bring the session to a close.
Woohoo!